Hello, I'm back in today's video doing JMA Friday today, having a look at the weather for the coming month from the Japanese and CFS V2 models. It's going to take us into the second half of August. There's just some thundery showers breaking out across parts of central England today. I'm not sure how extensive they're going to be. If they do get going, we might update Stormwatch this afternoon, but I'm just going to wait and see whether things do pop off or not through central parts of England. They might be quite scattered showers, but let's just wait and see how that one develops. Before I get on with the month-ahead look ahead with the Japanese model, just to say about the charity fundraiser. So throughout July, we're raising money for the Warwickshire and Northamptonshire Air Ambulance. And so far we've had 52 donations, very, very kind supporters have donated £809.54. That's how much we've got so far. Now, this is going to be running to the end of the month, so we've got just over a week to go. And it would be nice to get to £1,000. That's our next target. So if you haven't donated yet, there's two ways that you can do it. You can do it via our Just Giving page, and this is it. This is the Gas Weather's Just Giving page. So I'll leave a link to this page in the description box at YouTube. There's also links across Gas Weather Vids. If you click the link, you'll come to this page. You'll be greeted by the Gas Weather Vids logo. It also says Gavin's page, so you know you're on the right page. And to donate, you just very simply, very securely click the yellow donate button, and it'll take you to another page where you put in your card details very safely, very securely, with Just Giving the amount you would like to donate. And that's all you have to do, and the donation will go straight through to the Warwickshire and Northamptonshire Air Ambulance. The other way of doing it is to text your donation, and to do that you put in our code, which is GWVS77, and you also put in the amount you would like to donate, which could be anything from £1 upwards, and you text that to 770, and by doing that you'll again be paying whatever you would like to donate to this charity. If you pay as you go, it will be taken off your amount that you've got outstanding, and in terms of a bill, it'll just go on to your next bill cycle. And a big thank to everybody for doing this. It really does mean a huge amount of doing something very special for this charity. The air ambulance is completely reliant on charitable donations. They don't receive any money from the National Health Service or the government. And they fly over 1,000 missions a year. Each mission costs £1,700. So everything from the helicopter itself right way down to the smallest bandages and blasters has to be paid for via charitable donations. If people don't donate, then because they don't get any funding from anywhere else, they won't be able to fly. And even the doctors that fly with the air ambulance are doing so on a voluntary basis. So a huge thank to everybody for donating to this appeal. And as I say, we're going to carry on running this through to the end of the month. So a big thank you to everybody, and let's just see whether we can get to that £1,000 target by the end of July. Right, this is a radar picture. Just thought I'd start off with this, and you can see that there's not a great deal going on. There's a little bit of showery rain across Scotland coming down the Irish Sea. Otherwise, not much happening at the moment. I say things could develop this afternoon in terms of thundery showers. If they do, we'll probably update Stormwatch later, but I'm not just sure how widely these showers and downpours are going to be developing. Right, having a look at the JMA then, first of all, for the next month. So we're going to start off with 500 millibar height anomalies broken down into week periods. The first week period is a week that we are in, taking us from the 22nd through to the 29th of July. Blue is extrapolating to low pressure, and yellow, orange, very brighter colours, extrapolates to high pressure. So for the coming week, we've got a trough of low pressure to the northwest of Scotland, a ridge down to the south. There's also some ridging up to the far north of the country, centred around Greenland. So it's a bit of a messy picture, but essentially it's quite unsettled for the north, with a jet stream coming through a bit like that. And it's more settled down to the south with this ridge of high pressure. But all places could get some showers at times. And overall, it is a fairly sort of changeable scene there as we're going through towards the latter stages of July. This takes into the start of August. This week from the 29th of July through to the 5th of August. And with this one, again, quite messy. We've got ridging around Greenland. We've got a trough in the Atlantic. And then we've got above average heights over to the east of the UK. So I think the jet stream's probably doing something a bit like this. Actually, that's a little bit wrong. So if I just get rid of that, jet stream's probably doing something a bit like this, that could be relatively warm actually. We may be drawing up some sort of southerly influences between the high pressure, which is to the east, and the low pressure that's out to the west. It could also be quite unsettled as well. This low pressure could be providing energy for maybe thundery showers. Actually, that could be quite warm, potentially a little bit thundery, I would have thought, as we go through into that early part of August. And then week 3 and week 4, taking us from the 5th through to 19th of August, so into the second half of next month. This one looks very unsettled, actually. There's an area below average heights being centred right over the top of the country. And we've got this area of above average heights ridging still there around Greenland. I think the jet stream is going generally to the south of the country, rather like that. So that's probably increasingly cool and increasingly unsettled there as we're going into August. Not great signs at all for August on that particular setup. Let's see how the temperatures and precipitation are looking with this. So that was the Northern Hemisphere view looking from the pole down. This is the tropical mid-latitude view. So the Northern Hemisphere on this chart is just here. The tropics are just here. And then the Southern Hemisphere is down here. And the North Pole is off the chart on this chart, so the North Pole's up here, and of course the South Pole, again, that's off the chart, that's down there. The British Isles is just here in the far top right-hand corner of the chart as you're looking at it. So the coming sort of week, that has the ridge down to the south and the trough up to northwest Scotland, the jet stream doing something a bit like that. Let's see how the temperatures look, and a bit of a northwest-southeast split for the temperatures. In the north and west, they're coming out a bit cooler than average. In the south and east, they're coming out a bit warmer than average. Precipitation generally coming out wetter than average in most parts of the country, particularly so to the northwest. A little bit, you probably can't make it out that well, but it is a little bit drier than average just down in the far south. But generally, it's an unsettled, quite changeable week coming up there for the next week. We go through to week 2, which is the 29th of July through to 5th of August. And remember, we've got ridging to the east of us over here across central parts of Europe, trough of low pressure out to west. We're probably bringing up some sort of southeasterly flow, I would have thought. So temperature anomalies are going a little bit warmer than average through most parts of the country. So definitely a tick up in temperatures there through those early days of July. Precipitation, though, that's still looking generally above average. So quite a wet week coming up there as we transition from July into August. And then weeks 3 and 4, which is the 5th through to the 19th of August. That we're looking at instead, of course, the trough is being placed right over top of the country with a ridge up over Greenland. So temperatures, they're still looking pretty poor, really generally cooler than average temperatures as we're going into the heart of August. And precipitation, that looks quite grim as well, generally coming out wetter than average. So if you take the JMA at face value, this is quite a poor month of it coming up, with temperatures generally on the low to modest side, and precipitation generally above average. As we transition to August, if anything, the pattern probably gets a bit worse, actually, with blocking setting up over Greenland and a trough being placed underneath. So how much support does this have? Let's have a look at the CFS V2 next. So we'll start off 500 bit of our heights again, broke down to week periods. The first week period will take us from the 22nd to the 28th of July. Now this one all looks rather strange. It's not a million miles away from a JMA though. There's a trough of low pressure up to the northwest. There's a ridge down to the south and southwest. There's also hints of ridging around Greenland, and essentially the jet stream is coming through a bit like that. So although it looks quite an odd chart, I don't think it's a million miles away from what the JMA is doing for the next week. Then we go through to week 2, which is the 29th of July through to the 4th of August. And we have below average heights around the north and northeast of the UK, ridging around Greenland. The above average heights is going towards eastern parts of Europe as well. So I think the jet stream is just doing something like this. That does look quite unsettled there. The JMA is also unsettled, but hints at turning a bit warm. I'm not sure the southwest will do that actually, but it just looks generally quite cool and unsettled, with the wind flow probably coming down from a north or northwesterly type direction close to that trough. So not great there as we transition into the start of August. This is the week 3, the 5th through to the 11th of August. And again, it looks quite unsettled, below average heights to the north and west. There is ridging across central parts of Europe, so the jet stream may be doing something like that. That could be a warmer week there. And possibly a little bit on the thundery side as well. Still looks changeable though. Week 4, which is the 12th through to the 18th of August. This is a bit different to the JMA. This is developing quite a strong ridge to the east of us. Deep trough of low pressure around Iceland. And I would have thought the jet stream's doing something a bit like that. So that looks a bit strange, but it could be a bit warmer there. We may be drawing up warmer air from the south. And we've got this trough of low pressure course around Iceland. It is quite a big trough, so maybe a bit of a battle going on. It could be wet and average in the north, and perhaps quite hot and dry down in the south. That's rather an odd looking chart. The temperature anomaly for the coming week, this going from the 22nd to 28th of July, generally comes out warmer than average. The second week, week 2, which is the 29th of July to the 4th of August, goes a bit cooler than average that week. Week 3, which is the 5th through to the 11th of August, that also looking a bit cooler than average. And then week 4, which is the 12th through to the 18th of August, near normal with that one, although notice how warm it's going across most parts of Europe. So I do think we may turn warmer in that week. It just depends how much influence that deep trough to the northwest around Iceland has on the conditions. Temperature anomalies for the coming week, I should say precipitation anomalies for the coming week, generally a bit wetter than average in the north, but a bit drier than average down in the south. Week 2, precipitation anomalies, again, generally coming out probably a little bit on the wetter side of average, but it's not a great deviation. And then we start to lose the signal for precipitation for week 3, as always, so just near normal. I would have thought that, again, it's likely to be quite an unsettled week, though. And then week 4, again, very weak signals, bit wetter than average in the northwest, and I would have thought a bit drier than average down in the south. So I think what we can take from this is that it's a changeable period coming up. And okay, the models are differing a little bit between the JMA and the CFS in terms of the exact details from sort of week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4 through both of these models. They're a little bit different how they're setting it up through those weeks. But the overall message is changeable and quite mixed, which means that at times the temperatures are going to be up, at times temperatures will be down, and it's not going to be a sustained dry period either. So it's very similar to what we've had through this summer. It looks like what we've had through the summer, through June and July, what we're going to keep into the last month of it, which is changeable conditions. It doesn't mean a complete write-off by any means. We know we've had some nice weather, and over the past few days that we've actually managed to pull off a heat wave. So we may get more of that over the coming month, but nothing sustained. It doesn't look like the pattern of either drier or wetter is going to be sustained for a prolonged period. It looks like from weeks 1 to weeks 2 to weeks 3 to weeks 4, the pattern is constantly changing. So therefore we have a changeable period. And if anything, you would say as we get into August, it probably turns more sort of changeable, if anything, through that early part of August, before maybe something a bit more settled comes along later on. But it's mixed ideas, I think, as we're going into August. That's the message from JMA Friday today. It's a weekend forecast tomorrow, so come back for that. If you haven't donated to the Air Ambulance yet, please do so. That's all for now, and thanks for watching.